I got to tell you guys, I hate every time I see it when Texas is in the news yet again, but my state is taking an L just like Florida recently did. Texas, y'all taking an L. I'm getting this story from Daily Mail. The people that y'all see on my screen, I don't have pictures of the kids because believe it or not, they actually survived, which is great. So this is kind of a bittersweet story, but I'm going to tell you about these heathens, these people who watch too many damn movies, and I think that they all need life sentences. All right, here we go. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. Getting this story from not Law and Crime, Daily Mail, because they do a good job really kind of streamlining this. So thank you, Daily Mail. Texas, an evil stepfather who subjected children to torture and abuse worse than the victims of war crimes. And the way that they actually worded this was they treated these children worse than Vietnam. It was like, what did they say? Like Vietnam war tactics or something like that? Vietnam war torture methods. Have y'all ever heard of some crap like that? I haven't. Vietnam war torture techniques on children is just a different level of stupid, man. But he subjected these children to this type of torture for almost 6 years, and has been jailed for 10 lives. I don't even know what the hell that means. David Michael Calhoun, who's 38 years old, was found guilty of unimaginable cruelty at a trial in Gainesville, Texas on Tuesday, and he received 10 life sentences. I'm going to give y'all some of the details. Do I have to give y'all a disclaimer? I think I do. I think YouTube might appreciate me giving you guys an additional disclaimer. Let me get it up on the screen. Boom. Following video contains material or information that may be harmful or traumatizing to some audiences. So if you don't have thick skin, if you can't handle it, you might need to exit the video. All right. Now, he abused at least 4 children, including stepchildren and nephews who lived with him in a rundown trailer in an isolated lakeside village near the Oklahoma border. Calhoun's wife, Ashley Elizabeth Calhoun, so you guys see him on the screen right there. Let me see if I can show you who's who. That's David Calhoun. So Ashley Calhoun on the left-hand side of the screen. We're going to talk about Morena Evans here in a second. Calhoun's wife, Ashley Elizabeth Calhoun, 37 years old, and Morena Grace Evans, or Maria Grace Evans, 19 years old, face trial next month and are accused of similarly horrific torture of children. The torture, described by the DA as the worst abuse he has seen, including allegations of setting a child on fire. Let me say that again. What the F is wrong with people? They set a child on fire and using a red cattle prod on one of the victims, I guess to brand them. 4 of the victims, ages 16, 15, 12, and 10, were rescued, which is the good part of this. Cook County First Assistant District Attorney Eric Erlandson said that the abuse was the same level as suffered by prisoners in the Korean and Vietnam Wars. The prolonged period of torture that the defendant put the children through in this case is the worst abuse that I have ever seen, he said. The mental, psychological, physical torture that they endured for the better part of 6 years is unimaginable. The torture began in 2017 when Calhoun began looking after his nephews and was only stopped in 2022 when one of the kids escaped and they told on him. So we're thankful for that. Otherwise, they would have continued to keep being tortured. Yes, they are sadistic. Or satanic. Sadistic and satanic. That's about the only way that you can describe this. Trailer trash. What do we call this? Hood billies, snow billies, trailer trash, all of that good stuff. Load them up in the comments, guys, and let them have it. Feel free. The 16-year-old boy who escaped got help from a coworker who spirited him out of Texas to Omaha, Nebraska, where he was found by local police on August the 2nd. I hope I read that right. Erlandson detailed the horrific abuse to investigators, and all three accused were arrested days later and then indicted in November 2022. David Calhoun used white zip ties and black and gray duct tape around his wrist and forces him to lay on the ground under the table for what he described as feeling like days. Oh, feeling like days. Feeling like days. Like, I guess he felt like it like days. A search warrant read. The teenager had scars on his wrist from where the zip ties cut into his flesh. Prosecutors described how much Calhoun poured flammable liquid on him and set him on fire with a long lighter. The boy was able to put out the fire by rolling on the ground, but was severely burned and showed investigators a huge burn scar across his abdomen. Every day he was zapped with a two-pronged red cattle prod, causing scars all over his body, including his genitals, which means they had this boy in there with no clothes on, which I'm going to also say that they were sexually torturing these children. The sadistic man also set the boy's private parts. I'm going to say that. His Johnson and his marbles. I'll say that. The sadistic man set the little boy's Johnson and marbles, because I don't want to say the words, set them on fire with a lighter, leaving even more scars. And yet more abuse to the boy's genitals. Calhoun put a yellow hair tie around the boy's manhood marbles for 24 hours. That is mind-blowing. Oh my God, I'm scared to keep reading. Oh my God, there's more. Oh Lord. Oh my God. All right, y'all might want to brace yourselves. There's more. There's more. Another time, Calhoun used pliers to rip out the fingernails and toenails, and the boy showed police how one of his fingers only had half of its nail. The teen said Calhoun and Evans beat him so hard with knuckle dusters. What are knuckle dusters? Or is that the same thing as brass knuckles? Knuckle dust? Yeah, I guess it kind of is. They're kind of like brass knuckles, I guess. So knuckle dusters. Calhoun and Evans beat him so hard with knuckle dusters that 2 of his teeth were knocked loose. Calhoun ripped one of them out and one of the other children extracted the other. Oh my God. I don't even know if I want to read the rest of this. There's still more. His abusers put both of them in plastic Ziploc bags that police found later. The teenagers were frequently bashed with a 2 to 3 foot metal pipe, showing investigators a 5-inch scar on his leg for a particularly savage beating. He was also stabbed with a utility knife, wounding his thumb. The victim was forced to eat human and oh my God, was forced to eat human and animal feces. That's these 3 damn fools. Another time, the child was forced to pick up a red-hot welding rod and hold it in his hand, causing burn scars. We got some support there in the chat, so if you're listening, They Call Me B, thank you very much for showing some love. I appreciate that. Lord have mercy, this is rough. Evans' alleged abuse, in addition to beating the boy with pink knuckle dusters, was more of a sexual nature. Didn't I just say that? Maria, which is this one, wore a latex glove on her hand and covered the glove in hot sauce. God damn. Do y'all want me to just stop? Because there's actually more. I don't know that I want to read any more of this. Do y'all? We're going to take a poll in the chat. Do y'all want me to just finish it? It's like one more paragraph. We're going to take a pause for the cause. And I'm asking you guys who are listening to the sound of my voice, I know y'all get the point, but I think you need to really, truly understand when you look into the eyes of these people, what they actually did and why I believe that every one of them need the death penalty. We don't need people like this on planet Earth. You say we need to know? I think what you said was probably the most important thing. All right, Lord have mercy. Here we go. Maria, which is this one, wore a latex glove on her hand, and she covered her latex covered hand in hot sauce and inserted her fingers into the boy's area where the sun don't shine. That's an exit, not an entrance. Everybody catch that. He also reported on a separate occasion that Maria cut a lemon in half and inserted one half of a lemon into this boy's hole where the sun don't shine in the rear end. The fuck, man. Detectives discovered that more children were abused at other locations across East Texas, including Harleton, Jefferson, and Athens. The abuse increased until it reached its climax, it's the wrong word to use, in the summer of 2022 in Cook County, Texas. The resilience and strength that the children showed in this case is awe-inspiring. They never gave up and showed tremendous courage from the very beginning. The lasting legacy of this case is that evil will not prevail. Even when things seem hopeless, the children were determined to make their story heard, which is why we are telling this story, because I need people to understand what's going on and why we believe that these people never need to see the light of day ever again. Pamela Miller, who is a senior policy analyst with the APSAC Center for Child Policy, classified it as intrafamilial child torture, whatever that means. A jury took less than an hour to convict Calhoun of 5 counts of sexual assault of a child, 7 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of assault strangulation. They took the same amount of time to hand him 10 life sentences. That sounds about right. 10 life sentences, then a 10-year sentence, and 2 20-year sentences. All of those sentences are set to run at the same time, so that is concurrent as opposed to consecutive. It's not going to even matter with 10 life sentences. Let me give you guys the fair usage, and thank y'all for sticking with me on that because I know that was really difficult to hear. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. I hope they all get equal charges. I don't care what their age is or who told who to do what. I don't really care. I hope that they all get multiple life sentences and never see the light of day ever again. And I wouldn't even be mad if I just happened to read the news and just hear that the people in jail just happened to feel some type of way and treated them some type of way while in jail. Y'all hit that thumbs up, leave a comment. We only got a couple news videos.
A Cook County woman who was indicted with 2 others in a horrific child abuse case 2 years ago is headed to prison. Court records show 20-year-old Myria Evans pleaded guilty yesterday to a reduced charge of aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury. Evans was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Now, this comes 4 months after David Calhoun was found guilty for the sexual assault and torture of the child. He was sentenced to life in prison, and during his trial, investigators described the abuse as the worst they had ever seen, much of it too graphic to even report. Ashley Calhoun, who is also charged in the case, is due back in court next month.
20-year-old Myria Evans will spend the next 2 decades in prison after she pled guilty to a reduced charge of aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury. Evans was one of 3 defendants charged in this Cook County, Texas case. One, 38-year-old David Calhoun, was convicted in March on various assault charges and sentenced to 10 life sentences. The 3rd defendant in this case, David's wife Ashley, is due back in court next month. Now, a lot of this alleged abuse that we're about to get into, revealed during Calhoun's trial, is just too graphic to get into. I am telling you. It is so horrific. This is, I'm confident to say, this is the worst case of child abuse I have ever seen, I have ever covered. To give you an idea of this, Pamela Miller, who's a senior policy analyst with an institute that advocates for child abuse victims, labeled the abuse as, quote, intrafamilial child torture, saying it was almost indistinguishable from the type of torture that POWs, prisoners of war, and political prisoners suffered during the Korean War and the Vietnam War. Except here we're talking about children. According to prosecutors, Calhoun inflicted brutal abuse on several kids, stepchildren, nephews, inside of a 5th-wheel trailer. Court documents say the abuse started in 2017 after Calhoun started caring for his nephews. Caring is in quotations there. And 5 years later, in 2022, investigators found Calhoun's 16-year-old nephew in a Nebraska hotel room with several unrelated adults. The boy told police he'd escaped a home where he'd suffered severely. He showed them scars across his body, gave detailed accounts of being tied up for days, set on fire, burned, beaten, stabbed, and honestly, I think a word that I could use here that's appropriate, mutilated with objects. Again, I don't want to get into it more. It is nauseating. I physically got nauseous when I was reading what was going on here. And investigators later found multiple other victims. Calhoun's wife Ashley and Myria Evans, they are accused of participating in the torture of these children. Both Ashley and Myria, they testified against Calhoun during his trial. Myria says Calhoun started grooming her when she was 17 years old and that he forced her to abuse the children. She claimed she was in fear for her life, and she did what she was told. Ashley testified that her husband forced her to have sex with a minor that was involved in this case. Jurors were also shown a picture.
So they're trying to act like victims. Nope. And that's why I think that they need life sentences.
Of carvings on Ashley's chest that were done by Calhoun with a pen. We are talking sick stuff here. And as part of her plea deal, Mireya pled guilty to that reduced charge of aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury. She was sentenced to 18 years in prison. No word yet on when Ashley Calhoun will head to trial or if she'll take a plea, but again, she's expected in court.
Trial is underway in Cook County for a man accused of the sexual assault and brutal torture of a child. 38-year-old David Calhoun, seen there, indicted in 2022 on more than 10 charges. He's accused of shocking the child with a cattle prod and other allegations simply too graphic to detail. Calhoun's been in the Cook County Jail for nearly 2 years on bonds totaling nearly $6 million. Two women, Ashley Calhoun and Mireya Evans, also charged in connection with this case. Online records show they are both due in court next month. We'll continue to follow the outcome of this case.
I want y'all to notice how wild that is, the fact that both of the women are trying to claim that this man coerced them, groomed them, forced them into doing the things that they did. And they get a lighter sentence. And I think that in these situations, and I do think that sometimes you have to really truly examine a situation to make sure it is what it is. In a situation like this, I don't think that there is any room for an excuse for any of these women to do, watch, participate, see something, not say nothing, participate, and perpetuate this. I think they all should have got 10 life sentences. And I still believe that they all need life sentences, should never see the light of day. Keep those children in your prayers. I mean, if they make it and grow up and become something great, it'll be a miracle. And we pray that that happens, that they survive and that they can thrive and move past this and get some real help, some real counseling. Thank you guys so much for listening to this story. And we're probably going to just wrap that story from there. But easily one of the hardest things I've ever had to read. Screw all of them. And hopefully Satan will see them in hell soon.